Hey there, folks. This is Carlos Junco from harmonicapractice.com, and I'd like to talk today about vibrato. And I'm going to break this up into 2 videos, and maybe even 3, and talk about vibrato, different types of vibrato. Essentially, there are 2 basic types of vibrato, the choke vibrato and the embouchure vibrato, and then variations thereof between the 2. I'm going to play some different players and how they sound, and try to mimic what I'm hearing, because it's a really good thing to do. I think the first time I ever heard someone do a vibrato was in a washroom at a bar, and this guy was just sitting there, and he had this great tone and great sound. And it's what gives the sort of juicy sound to playing the diatonic harmonica. One of the many things that gives that fantastic sound. And there are certainly a lot of different ways to approach it. So I'm going to talk first about choke vibrato and the idea of different things that you can pay attention to as you're first trying to learn how to do this. The idea of what the choke vibrato is almost literally kind of like you're imitating a choking sound with your throat. And it's this, I think, what we call the glottal stop, where if you were to cough and then exhale and do that and open and close that part of the throat, I'm exhaling. But if you do the same thing, and it's very weird at first, the first time you do it, but inhale and go, chances are it might force you to start coughing, a cough reaction, when you do it inhaling. But that's the basic idea. You're opening and closing. The energy is coming from in your throat, not your mouth. The embouchure vibrato, which I'm going to describe later, is about, well, I'll do it quickly now, but you use it more in the high notes. You can see what I'm doing with my jaw. And I'll give you examples of exercises on how to do that properly to build up the kind of the musculature and the correct technique to do that in a different video. But here I'm going to talk about choke vibrato. So continuing, the reason choke vibrato sounds so good on the low notes and is easiest on the low notes is kind of a law of physics, in that the bigger the reed, the bigger the air chamber, the farther back in the air chamber of your mouth, which is kind of like a tuning port that you need to do to produce and get this air resonance to respond. And I can still do a choke vibrato when I get up to the high end, but if I were to pick up, let's say, an F harmonica, it becomes much harder to do easily a choke vibrato sound and get the pitch to drop, because a vibrato is essentially you're bending and unbending the note, and much trickier to do on a high F harmonica playing below 9, and that's when you'd use your embouchure vibrato. Smaller air chamber, smaller reed, smaller air chamber, you're putting the energy farther forward in your mouth to bend and unbend this note. And again, I'll give more descriptive idea how to do that in the next video. But that's what it's going to sound like and there you can hear the note bending and unbending. So back to the choke vibrato. The technique, again, is to sort of opening and closing this glottal stop and variations thereof of how aggressive you are, how much it is doing a complete close and sometimes almost closing. And it's a nuance that's at first very involuntary, and the more you do it, the more you start to have control over how fast you can do it, how deep the vibrato is, and so it sounds like this again. And if I do it faster, or sometimes, I mean, you have to have different visualizations to help you with this stuff. A barking seal is one way to do that. I'm super exaggerating now to get so you can hear what's going on. But it's like I'm quickly releasing the note. I'm creating this pressure buildup. And I'm quickly opening my throat, releasing that glottal stop so that the air sort of quickly comes in and it does this quick bending thing. And again, this is something that you just have to try and experiment, and eventually you'll get it. And eventually, with control, you can do different amounts and varying degrees. So without really closing the throat completely, it'll sound more gentle. This is, by the way, is a G harmonica. And then I put a bit more energy into it. And even more. More like Paul Butterfield's vibrato was very much like that. Very much this sort of, you could really hear his glottal throat action happening very easily. Playing a double stop, 2 notes at the same time. Up to hole 4. And you can use it on all these great sounds, playing different intervals. And you can also use it on the blow notes, although they don't really bend. You can put some expression into them with again, the lower the note, the easier it is to get the expression out of it. It's actually, you actually have more control when you use embouchure vibrato on even your low blow notes. Sometimes I sort of do a mixture of the two. So that's a blow 3 in this case, so there's not a lot of bending action happening there. A blow 2. But on the draw notes, it works great. And here I'm going to play a few samples of different people playing and their different styles of vibrato and the way it's executed. This David Bergen is one of my favorite, all-time favorite, sort of more progressive players. Like I consider him and Paul DeLay, for guys who didn't really play with overblows, to be progressive players in their day when they were doing their thing. David Bergen apparently is about to release a new record, and the rumor has it in late 2015. And Paul DeLay, bless his heart, his resting soul, was also one of my favorite players. Just for their kind of, both of them, taking the tradition and doing something a little bit different with it, and both very adventurous players, but playing very much in the tradition at the same time. So here's David Bergen. He's just as a sideman accompanying Jeff Muldaur on a record, and this song is "Tears Came Rolling Down." So I'm just going to go right to the nitty gritty here. Here he is. And then right here again. I mean, just such beautiful tone. Let's hear that again. Just and you'll find that most people on a vibrato, and myself included, you can the speed of your vibrato is dependent on the speed of the music. So for the quarter note, da 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 ya 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 ya, it's actually like a triplet. The vibrato is a triplet. Ba ba da 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 da, 1 2 3 1 2 3. Just so that you can see the beat. With my hand on my head. So that's Bergen. Let's listen to Paul DeLay here. This is like this seriously deep vibrato he does just briefly for a second here. Really cool from a solo that I'm going to be transcribing, showing about how to transcribe on a separate video. But here, it's just like this. If you go to the YouTube video of this song, it's called Keep On Drinking, and then in brackets, back in the day, Paul DeLay, some little obscure bootleg recording that some guy made in a bar with his tape recorder on a table sitting in front of Paul DeLay. And someone commented on, like, right at this point in the song, listen to his vibrato, and it's just like, it's so huge. And he's sort of playing a triplet, but in fact, he's sort of slowing it down, so it just has this thing that kind of makes you go, wow. Listen to it again. And he's really just taking it down. And this kind of stuff, you know, you can do with a lot of practice and control. The more that you really listen to these players and try to emulate what you're hearing, like every little nuance will help you mimic and be able to get these different types of vibrato into your own playing. So there's Paul, and then my next, let's see, the next one is up here, is Lee Oscar, is also one of my favorite players for this beautiful, sweet vibrato, and also quite a deep vibrato, and he uses it in different degrees. This is just a quick little clip from an early record called Haunted House. Before the Rain, I think, and the song is called Haunted House. He's using an F harmonica, and his first note at the beginning of the song, here it comes. That is almost like a quarter note vibrato. Like if you listen to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I slow it down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It starts to slow down there toward the end, but you can hear the guy in the cymbals, the hi-hat rather. But at full speed. So again, you're tuning, you're varying the speed of your vibrato according to what's happening in the music to give it the right expression and the depth of the vibrato. If I was to go, you know, more like that last thing I did with Paul DeLay, it might be too extreme. I mean, it's open to interpretation. So, and then let's check out, what's the other one I have down here somewhere? Kim Wilson, who's a really great in the tradition of more of a Chicago style. I think he's using an A harp here. Oh, no, beg your pardon, he's using an A flat harp here. So not quite as deep of a vibrato there. So it's once you understand the mechanics and the musculature of what's going on, again, what's going to be very unconscious at first, you'll start to be able to control the depth of the vibrato. So here it's not a very deep vibrato. And later on, he does another nice one. Playing a double stop there, kind of a dirty note, playing mostly 4 and 5, but when I talk about playing dirty, I'm talking about, you know, emphasizing one hole but leaking another note. In this case, I think he's just, let's see. It's pretty much a 4 and 5. But again, the speed of the vibrato here, if you slow it down. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It's pretty clear. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So here, then again, you hear the triplet of the vibrato against the quarter note of the backbeat. So that's my basic intro into how to do a choke vibrato. You just got to try to do this and emulate the sounds that you hear. But the basic principle, again, is what's happening with this glottal stop and opening and closing. I mean, I happen to have a pretty skinny neck so you can kind of see what's going on here. But with my G harp again, playing hole 3 draw. My Adam's apple, that's a very involuntary thing that's happening. Tongue block or a pucker. And there's a tongue block. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. Join me at harmonicapractice.com and inquire about lessons, and I'll also take you through the ropes of how to do this stuff. All right, see you soon.